One more, please.
That plan will highlight a number of initiatives, a number of approaches, but will also highlight the important contributions that Ontarians have already made. As I've said in this legislature, Mr. Speaker, between 2005 and now, Ontario has reduced its emissions by 22%. 2005 to now 22%, while the rest of Canada has increased emissions by 3%. And Mr. Speaker, tomorrow we're going to talk about how Ontario continues to do its part and how Ontario also prepares communities and families to deal with climate change. But we will do so in a way that looks at all the best options, and that does not include, Mr. Speaker, a carbon tax or cap and trade.
Yeah.
The numbers tell a truthful and completely different story about Canada's contribution to the fulfillment of worldwide climate change apocalypse prophecy, spinned out of control by the biased leftist media who are blatantly selling the government's wisdom and validity to the people of this country. Emissions in megatons by region in comparison with the two major Canadian provinces. In comparison with the global emission numbers, Canada is not even on top 10 list and is responsible for less than 2% of the global emissions. The country's two largest provinces of Ontario and Quebec together are too small to be rounded to the nearest point. 98.5% of the world emissions are not in Canada's control. It's insane to suggest a 1.6% overall contributor to cut its emissions more while the country that emits 25% of the total doesn't do it. A 5% cut in emissions by the China will be as effective as reducing 4 times of Canada's contribution. Even if all the Ontario and Quebec population shut everything down and head to the caves, while the top 5 emitters don't change their behavior will not make iota of difference in the grand scale of emissions. Carbon tax targets various industries. Cement prices will go up, as limestone releases some CO2 during process of making cement. Agricultural running and food prices will go up, as fertilizing soil releases CO2. Maintenance of buildings and home comfort costs will go up, running buildings releases CO2. Most affected will be the retail sector and people who commute, as transportation costs will go up, rising gas price at the pump. Increasing the prices on basic utilities, food, transportation and running buildings hurts the people in the lower to middle income class while enriches deep state loyal agency administrators with insane salaries. Gasoline is already heavily taxed across Canada as a sin tax. Gasoline tax in Ontario. Ontarians pays 14.7 cents as provincial excise tax, 10 cents per litre as federal excise tax, along with 13% HST for a total of 28 cents in taxes. Gasoline tax in Quebec. Quebec pays 19.2 cents as provincial excise tax, 10 cents per litre as federal excise tax, along with 15% HST, for a total of 33.6 cents in taxes. Both Quebec, Ontario are too clean to pay any kind of carbon taxes. All the sectors, transport, agriculture, buildings, cement and other manufacturing industries related to GHG emissions from Ontario and Quebec are working at a very clean rate, lower than 1990 level. Energy taxes should not be used as the goose that lays golden eggs, where the taxes ends up serving no purpose while increase prices on goods and services.